Good afternoon. My name is Jake Paul. Can you tell me your full name, please?
My name is Catherine Smith.
Thank you. And what shall I call you?
Catherine is fine.
Thank you. Can I see your identification, please?
Of course, here you go.
Thank you. In this first part, I'm going to ask you some questions. Let's talk about where you work. Do you work?
I work in the Copy and Print Center at Staples, which is a stationery store in Canada.
What do you like about your work?
I actually really enjoy doing the printing projects because there's a bit of a design element to it, which is really interesting to me.
Is there anything you don't like about your work?
I have to say I don't love interacting with some customers just because a lot of them don't understand how things work around here.
In this first part, let's talk about sport. How popular is sport in your country?
I think it depends sport to sport, but in general, sports are very popular. I know a lot of people who are very invested in different sports.
Do most people play sport or watch it on TV?
I think most people as adults will watch sports on TV and maybe play it recreationally. I know a lot of people who play sports as children, though.
Did you do any sport when you were a child?
I did. I played several sports when I was younger. I played soccer for years as well as basketball. Both of those were great, but unfortunately I'm very short, so it did not work out well for long.
Would you like to be an international sportsperson?
I don't think I'd be good at being an international sports person. I think it would be far too much pressure to have everyone counting on you to have a good performance every single time.
Let's talk about free time now. What do you enjoy doing in your free time?
Some of my favorite things to do in my free time would be listening to music, reading books, or even just hanging out with friends and relaxing.
Why?
Just because I think in free time it's important to kind of conserve your energy for work, school, all of those different very demanding tasks.
Do you think you get enough free time?
I think I get enough free time, but I usually tend to fill my free time with different volunteering work, extra school work. So no, but it's my fault.
How important is it to use your free time well?
I think on the one hand, it is very important to use your free time well. I think doing those sort of mundane tasks of getting your dishes done or laundry is something that's really important day to day. But at the same time, I do think it's important to carve out a certain amount of free time just to do nothing and relax.
Now in this part, you'll have 1 minute to make notes and 2 minutes to talk about your topic. Do you understand?
Yes.
I want you to talk about a person you met recently and liked. All right, Catherine, whenever you're ready, you can start speaking now, please.
Thank you. So someone that I met recently, I actually had heard about a lot before I met her. I have a lot of mutual friends with her because a lot of my friends incidentally went to high school together and she went to high school with them. So I was at this party and I knew that she would be there and I knew my friend was really excited to introduce us because she thought we would get along very well. And she did introduce us and we did get along very, very well. So her name is Molly. We go to school together, although we haven't really had much overlap, hence the fact that I haven't met her yet. But at this party with all of these different people, she was really, really wonderful to talk to. And we did have a lot in common. She studies in forestry at UBC, and she's in the conservation field in forestry, which is an area that I have a lot of interest myself. I've done a lot of work in conservation throughout high school, and so meeting someone that's pursuing that in a further manner is really interesting to me. So I was really excited to talk to her about that. She also has a lot of interest in literature, which is what I study. So it was really cool to get to talk to her and have someone be very engaged and interested to hear what I'm learning about as well. We had just a really good natural conversational rhythm. She told me some very hilarious stories throughout the night. She's a really naturally very funny person, and she manages to kind of put a humorous spin on it seems like mundane day-to-day activities. So that was actually really interesting to experience and witness. She made me feel really comfortable in this social situation. I'm not much of a party person myself. I'm not very extroverted. So it was really cool getting to talk to someone who was so open and encouraging.
Thank you. Do you like meeting new people?
I do like meeting new people, although sometimes I can be a little bit shy, so it might not seem like it at first.
Thank you. So we talked about a person you met recently and liked, and I want to ask you some general questions about this. Let's talk about friends and friendship in general. How do people meet friends where you live?
Most of the people I know are students, so I suppose a lot of students meet friends through classes or through living in residence in their first or second year at university.
How about in general?
I do know a lot of people who meet friends through work, or a lot of people as well through extracurricular activities, be it clubs or volunteering, things like that.
Is it easier for adults or children to make new friends?
I definitely think it's easier for children to make new friends just because they don't have as many inhibitions as adults. And I think adults tend to kind of approach social situations and automatically wonder what people's motivation is in it.
Is it possible for people to be close friends with their boss or teacher?
I think it depends a lot situationally whether or not someone can be close friends with a boss or a teacher. I think if we're talking about an elementary school child and their teacher, probably not going to be very good friends at the end of the day. But I think in adult relationships, it's definitely possible to be close friends with your boss or even with your teacher.
Let's move on to consider the importance of friends. How are responsibilities towards friends and families different?
I think that one of the major ways that they differ is that in family, a sense of responsibility is kind of implicit. Whereas with friends, you definitely have to work more to foster those connections and to foster that sense of responsibility. I think there's a lot more give and take in friendships versus families.
Can friends be as important as families?
I absolutely think friends can be as important as families. I think in some cases, friends can be even more important than families. I think having friends and seeking that identity outside of your family is a really integral part of growing up. And I think that friends are absolutely essential in helping you figure out who you are outside of your family.
Thank you, Catherine. And that's the end of the speaking test.
Can you tell me your full name, please? And what shall I call you? Can I see your identification? Thank you. In this first part, I'm going to ask you some questions. Let's talk about where you work. Where do you work? What do you like about your work? Is there anything you don't like about your work? In this part, let's talk about sports. What is a popular sport in your country? How popular are sports in your country? Do most people play sports or watch it on TV? Did you do any sports when you were a child? Which ones? Would you like to be an international sports person? Let's talk about free time now. What do you enjoy doing in your free time? Do you think you get enough free time? How important is it to use your free time well? Do you think you will have more free time in the future? Now, in this part, you will have 1 minute to make notes and 2 minutes to talk about the topic. Do you understand? I want you to talk about a person you met recently and liked. Thank you. Do you like meeting new people? So we talked about a person you met recently and liked, and I want to ask you some general questions about this. Let's talk about friends and friendship in general. How do people meet friends where you live? Is it easier for adults or children to make new friends? Is it possible for people to be close friends with their boss or teacher? Let's consider the importance of friends. How are responsibilities towards friends and families different? Can friends be as important as families? Will people have the same kind of friends and family relationships in the future, or will it change? Thank you. That's the end of the speaking test.
And that's it for this video. Smash that like button if you've liked this video. Thanks for watching.